Okay, good evening. Welcome back to the Freedom Rocks channel. Um, we talk about scripture here, talk about the Bible, kind of break it down so we can understand it easy, um, and main, uh, incorporate it to our recovery, like in addiction too as well. So we kind of hit the recovery addiction part, but we do a lot of Bible here too as well. So all right, tonight. I don't really have any like scripture or anything to go through or anything, but I'm just going to share a story of what happened to me yesterday, this morning actually. So um, I was praying and having quiet time with God and kind of get my day started. I try to do that every day. Get up, have coffee, of course, and then um, read some scripture, read a word, read something, and then pray, and then have quiet time. It usually takes whatever 15, 20 minutes, whatever works for you to get going. So I know that helps me. I was taught that in recovery to start your day off, with something positive, more, the big book or some kind of readings, and then, um, once give yourself to God and living as a Christian, you kind of, that's good stuff, but you tend to lean more towards the Bible with Scripture and kind of how um, we should be living for Him as well. So this morning I was praying and having my quiet time and all that, and um, as I was praying, I was thinking of the structure of prayer. Um, now this isn't in stone, but I've been taught, and a lot of people put the structure out there, just so you have structure to how to pray. So the way I've been taught was like, at the beginning of the prayer to give thanks and worship to God and to pray for others and then pray for yourself and then um, just keep quiet for a few minutes, a couple minutes minimum, but you can 5, 10 minutes, whatever you need. And because it does say in the Bible in Psalms 104, verse 4, it says to enter his gates with thanksgiving and courts with praise. So, in my mind, I think that's the best way to start prayer is to start thanking him for the things in your life. And then, go on to your prayer. Um, so I was praying for other people and myself, and I was asking God to show me um, things that are in the way in my life for him to work, being my attitude, my tongue, self-centeredness, just anything, just to keep that connection there. You know what I mean? Um, so I was praying out loud, and as I was praying, God, this, that, whatever, the phrase, God, ground me to you, ground me in you, kind of blurted out. And yeah, I knew I said it, but I didn't really know the meaning of it. So I said, God, ground me to you. So then I ended my prayer, and then I just sat for a few minutes. And as I was sitting there, I realized kind of what I said, and then um, ground me to you came to mind. And then I work on lawnmowers, riding lawnmowers, and this electrical vision, like not really vision, but this electrical thoughts came to mind to where ground me to you. Wow, that's pretty cool because um, you need a ground wire connected to a power source for the machine to work. Um, just in my experience, like in a lawnmower, for example, you can have a brand new customers would bring in this lawnmower and they say, I have a brand new battery, I got a new starter, I got all new parts, but when I hit the key, nothing happens. So right away I would jump to, it's probably just a bad ground. You hear that, a lot. People with trailer lights, oh, it's just a bad ground or whatever. So ground is very vital for power to flow through. Um, you can have a brand new battery, you can have all the new parts, but if you're not connected to the ground, it's not going to work. Um, so I started thinking of this electrical, this thing. And when these people would bring it in, immediately I would just, you know, look at it, follow the ground wire from the battery. And so one end of the wire goes to the battery, the other end of the wire goes to the chassis, the motor, or the metal part of to the machine, to the frame somewhere. And it's like that in the car as well. But we'll talk about the lawnmower here. But it's the same principle in the car. So if that wire is corroded or broke, you will have no power. So I would look at it, find the end of the wire, see where it's connected to the chassis, and 90% of the time it would be so rusted and corroded that it just lost contact, or it'd be just plain broke um, through rust and whatever, because the electricity does cause a natural corrosion, and plus, just being out in the weather, just a lot of different factors, but eventually that ground will stop connecting, or the wire will break. Um, so I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I mean, you can have all the power, you can have brand new battery, but if you're not connected to the source, nothing else works. It's like, wow, sometimes you might get a flitch here and there, or, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on if that wire's, connected tight or not, the bolt's tight, or, I mean, there's a lot of factors right there, but, and it works as the same. Then I went on to thinking about the house. It's the same way with the house, like in your panel box in your house where your breakers are. You need a ground wire in there as well. But in a house, the white wire is the ground. And they do corrode, not as often as something outside in the weather like a lawnmower or something like that, but they do corrode over time sometimes. And there again, it doesn't matter, but it has to be grounded, to the right proper place. Um, so like in a house situation, that white wire has to be grounded for our appliances to work. Your phone, computer, refrigerator, all the stuff works off of these outlets. Um, so then I was thinking, well, that's kind of cool. You got to be grounded to the source. Well, then, like in a house, plugging things into it in the outlets, um, we have to be grounded to God for us to power other people. So when people plug into us, or we contact people, like tell our story, tell God, tell people about our stories about God, just different spiritual stories, or just teaching the Bible, whatever, the power of God flows through us. And if we're grounded to God, that powerful message will get to them. So that was kind of a cool little story, um, about being grounded in God. And then, like in a lawnmower situation, um, or related to the spiritual, to the physical, is that for our ground cable to be connected, we have to maintain it. We ask God to get rid of the corrosion, whether that's pride, self-centeredness, our tongue, our attitude, whatever that is, that's stopping our connection. So we have to get that out of the way for Him to flow through us. He will flow through us, but not at maximum capacity. If we just sit and let it fester, or resentment or something like that, that shuts down the connection. So we have to keep ourselves free. Now, what I'm saying here is not that we have to get rid of this stuff to come to God first. I'm saying once we come to God, we don't have to get cleaned up to come to God. We come to God to get cleaned up. Once we get cleaned up, to maintain that connection, to keep that ground maintained, that's what we have to do. Is after we commit our lives to Him is when we connect that ground, and that's when we have to keep it going. So I thought that was kind of cool. ground me in ground, God ground me in you. Just kind of blurted out, and I was like, wow, that's cool. So that ground is very vital for power. I mean, you can have the biggest battery, you can have the biggest power source, but if that ground isn't flowing through, you don't have no power. So I just thought I would share that tonight. Um, my little experience, my revelation, I guess I call it. So if this message helped you in any way, leave a comment, please, and subscribe. Um, tell me where you're from. I like to communicate, and I'll send you a message back. And I just kind of curious. I like to know where these messages go out to, or if you just want to just leave a thumbs up, that would be great too. So, and don't forget to subscribe. So, okay, I hope I helped somebody, and I hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see you next week. And thanks for watching Freedom Rocks. Have a great night, guys.